When I went onto Shark Tank, they had a similar spot for you to stand right here. And they have you stand there for 60 seconds. It felt like an eternity. But you walk down that hall and you come down, and I'm walking. They didn't have the music playing. Sorry, I'm moving away from the mic. Dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, you know, in my head. Get in front of the sharks, standing there, and they say, wait until someone in the staff, one of the stage hands, says, begin. So, you know, first impressions are very hard to do twice. So you're standing there, I'm standing there in front of the 5 sharks. Again, it felt like an hour in silence, smiling, looking at them, each of them, staring each other down, sizing each other up, smiling, and they were smiling back, and they said, begin. And I said, shalom, sharks. So shalom, Crown Heights. It's really a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate Rabbi Wordy and Crown Heights young entrepreneurs. You know, the definition, if you Google entrepreneur, anybody ever do it? I have. I love Google. Google, you ever hear of it? It's this operation out in, you know, no. Entrepreneur is defined as somebody, a person who spends their own money to promote a company or an idea beyond the norm. In other words, you know, somebody who spends money on something and they know it's a sure deal, they're going to get it back. Not necessarily an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur takes risks. An entrepreneur goes out there and does things that other people won't do. Similar to Rabbi Wordy and this organization. Following in what the Rebbe taught us and teaches us, that we go beyond what's expected of us. We do that one extra step, and that's really what entrepreneurship's about. So whether you're an entrepreneur who starts a business to make money, which is awesome, because money is definitely something that is needed in this world to support organizations such as Crown Heights Young Entrepreneurs. We're all young entrepreneurs at heart. And there's spiritual entrepreneurship, I guess you would call it, or Hasidic entrepreneurship. Start a publication for business people to learn Hasidus every day. Go and find the money and do it and produce it, like someone in this very audience is doing currently. Used to be my chavrusa in Australia. Long story. Don't ask him anything, please. Don't reveal any secrets of the past. So we all have that ability. And again, like the Rebbe teaches us and taught us, the power of the individual, of the one person, is tremendous. I can point, throughout my life, I can point to one person who made the difference in success or failure to me. But it was a different person every time. Whether it was my parents, the Rebbe, a friend, somebody I met at the post office, or Damon John, one of the sharks. We're presented with many opportunities in life, and it's always only one person that will make that difference. So don't pass up the opportunities that come before you. When I was a little boy in Miami Beach, growing up in a family of 15 kids, Kinohara. Don't know if you know that. Yeah, well, Kinohara. One of 15. I know, right? It's insane. I will not say the joke that I usually say during this time. Based on the crowd, we will delete it. And we'll continue. Entrepreneurship was maybe, whether it was by nature or design, ingrained in us. Because you had to figure out how to get ahead without an allowance, like many people I know. So I would, sell gum as a high school student, and my parents owned a bakery in Miami Beach. I would take the leftover donuts and Danish and go to school the next day and sell them. Work behind the counter, slice bread. I learned the fundamentals of business. Find a need, fill it, be able to produce it at a price lower than you can sell it, make a profit, reinvest it, or buy baseball cards with it. Some of it, at least. I was really into Garbage Pail Kids. Anyone? No? Wrong crowd again, sorry. There are usually people, there are probably people in here. Garbage Pail Kids, come on, nobody? Somebody? Yeah, it's all right. Dude, we're to get, we won't go into it. You can come to me after if you want to get more information. The difference between being creative and inventive and being an entrepreneur, however, is recognizing a need and doing something about it. The amount of people that call me or email me and say, oh, I had that idea, and I had that idea right away, and I can't believe you did that, and oh man, I should have done it. If you're going to wait for somebody else to do something, then it's not going to get done by you, and you're important. Because if you don't do it, it possibly won't get done. If everybody has the attitude that we'll just have great ideas, and that's where it ends, then that's really unfortunate. And we all have the ability, especially in this day and age, to do something and advance our ideas in some way. I founded a yeshiva in 2006 in Minnesota, Yeshiva High School of the Twin Cities. Thank you very much. My yeshiva done right. And that's another important fact. Whether you're opening a yeshiva, starting an organization, starting a business, starting from scratch, do it right. Be organized, be smart, take advice from people, seek advice from others. We don't know everything. I know we're in New York, and it's very difficult to understand that concept, but we do not know everything, I promise. It's a fact. So seek out people that are experts in the field that you are looking into, and take their advice and take their help, and sometimes you might have to pay them even, and that's okay. If they're worth it. I hope they are. The power of the individual is extremely, extremely important. Because you have a choice, we all have a choice. And that choice is to be that person or not. To offer help to somebody else, to seek it out, not only wait for it to come around, which is fine too, because it could, at least recognize the opportunities that present themselves when they do, and don't ignore them. I get emails every day, thousands over the past couple of months, few months, year, my Lord. It's a long time. And somebody came over to me today and said, oh, I called the manufacturer that you emailed me. I didn't even know that I had responded to that person. I know that person, but I didn't know that I had responded to that person. I responded to a person. The person who asked me a question, I said, this is the answer that I could provide you. Whether it helps you or not, I don't know. But it didn't make a difference that I knew them or not. So give your time when you can. We're all limited, obviously, but to any extent, if somebody comes to you and asks you for help, you might not be able to do everything for them, but you can do something. When I was fundraising in yeshiva, it was quite amazing that I would go to very wealthy individuals, millionaires, billionaires, and ask them for help. I believed that our product was an extremely important product, a yeshiva, to advance youngins. And I asked them for help. And a lot of them said no. And I, sometimes ask them why. Why not? What do they do, kick me out? They already said no. No. Just to understand, not to be chutzpahdik or anything, but just to understand. Because I'm not in their position. I can't understand how a billionaire or millionaire, a wealthy individual thinks. I can't put myself in their shoes. So just to really try to understand. They said, I can't solve your problem. I can't solve your problem. I have other things that I'm into. It's not my thing. I accepted their answer and I left. But after thinking about it a little bit, they were right, perhaps. They couldn't solve my problem, perhaps. But they could have done something. You don't have to have all the answers. And when you're looking to people to ask for help, don't necessarily go and ask for everything. You might get lucky every once in a while. Mazel definitely has a lot to do with it. I had a lot of mazel to be able to be selected for national attention. I'm sure I would not be standing here speaking to you tonight if I had not. Well, that's cool. I'll be honest, the yeshiva put my heart and soul and dollars into, kinahara. I do it all over again, no regrets. But the last week of yeshiva, one of the local donors in the yeshiva, a non-Jewish woman, actually, came over. I was spending Shabbos, the last Shabbos, with the Bachrim in yeshiva. And she came over right before Shabbos, and she gave me an iPad as a gift. That's a whole story in its own right, but she gave me an iPad as a gift, iPad 2. It had just come out a couple months earlier. It was June 2011. And I thanked her, whatever. It was very nice. It was sort of like a consolation gift. I had had a discussion with her when iPad came out that I would never buy an iPad. Never. Just the whole swiping thing, like, so dirty and whatever. I would spend money on something, please. So whatever, she said, well, I was in the store at Target. A lot of times in Target. And I saw an iPad, and I said, I'm going to get you an iPad. So she got me one. And within a few days, obviously after Shabbos, I did charge it, though, right before Shabbos. Make sure to get it in there. It was an iPad. It was pretty cool. I started using it, and right away I recognized that I couldn't hear the sound coming out of it properly, so I recognized the need. I tried to solve it myself. I put my hand behind the speaker just instinctively to cut behind it, just like you go like this. And it made a big difference. I was able to hear dialogue, etc., much clearer. Then I got a Band-Aid box and I cut it out and I put it on there, just because my hand was getting tired. Then I Googled. Google's cool. Google's important. And they're going to take over the world. No, probably. But anyway, could be worse. I searched for the product, not because I wanted to invent something, but because I wanted it. I wanted something that did that. That was a Band-Aid box, that accomplished the Band-Aid box. I would have paid money for it. Couldn't find it. Went downstairs to my wife in the kitchen. I said, I'm going to make this. I can do this. And yeshiva was still in session. I remember my car was broken down in yeshiva, so I had to get a ride from Rabbi Muttel Friedman the next day. And I showed him in the car going, and I'm like, check this out. Look what happens when you do this. You know? He's like, whoa, that's great. I'm like, don't tell anybody. Because I'm going to do this. And he's like, yeah, I believe it. And I did. And within a couple of weeks, I had prototypes. Again, Googled prototype, manufacturer, Minnesota. Found a few, chose one. On the way home from yeshiva, Friday afternoon, 2:30, called up, one on the list. Said, I have this idea. I don't know the first thing about making a prototype. Can I come and talk to you about it? They're like, sure, if you can be here in 20 minutes. I was like 5 minutes away at that point, so I made it. They gave me a tour. They showed me what I would need to do. I needed an industrial engineer. I needed a 3D model, et cetera, et cetera. They gave me some options. Called up the first one on the list that I chose. They gave me some information about them. Erev Shabbos, set up a meeting for Sunday, and literally like 2 weeks later, I had made a wax mold of it at that point and toothpicks to hold it on, you know. And hired an industrial engineer, and again, you know, I didn't have any money. I just lost a yeshiva, pretty much. It wasn't lost yet, but yeah, pretty much. So feeling pretty down, actually. It was pretty traumatic, I would say, actually, to be honest. And didn't let it stop me. So I don't know if that's something that's good or bad, but again, an opportunity presented itself, and I said, I'm going to do what I can. And what I could do was call Google, first of all, call a prototype manufacturer, spend a couple $100 of somebody else's money, necessarily, you know. Again, the woman who gave me the iPad, very awesome, thank you. And when I saw that it was something that really would work, it was pretty awesome, you know. You get that prototype, and I'm like, wow. So I went, I called a relative that's a patent attorney, and he said, don't waste your money. Most small inventors never make a profit. That's a patent attorney that you want, FYI. Not one that says, just give me your credit card. Sure, we'll do searches for you. Cha-ching, you know? Anyway, I said, I'm not most people, so there. And hired an attorney. I went to an attorney, again, wanting to do it right. I incorporated, obviously, a new company. I went to an attorney, a local attorney, asking advice first from two other business individuals that I had met and got to know over the years in Minnesota. Separately, for a good business attorney in Minnesota, they both, without the other knowing, recommended specific attorneys, called them up, said, hey, I have an idea, can I come talk to you? I need an attorney. They said, sure, come on down. At that point, I had samples, actual production samples. I had done a Kickstarter campaign, crowdfunding, received funding for mold manufacturing, etc. And I walked into their office, showed them what I had, and said, I need an attorney because that's what business people do. When you have a business, you should have an attorney. Can you be my attorneys? You come highly recommended. And they said, sure. We really believe in your idea. We want to be your attorneys. I said, great. I don't have any money. But I want to pay you. So is there something we could work out? I said to him, maybe you would like to, don't ever do this, by the way, but I said, maybe you want to take some ownership in the company. And he responded, the senior of the firm responded, first of all, don't ever offer that to anyone, ever again. And number two, we're attorneys. We don't own businesses. We do what we do, you do what you do. And we charge $305 an hour, and we'd be willing to keep record of the time we put into it, and if, and use the word if, not when, but if you end up making money on this, you can pay us when you do, when you have it. And that was pretty awesome too. You know, when the idea of opening a yeshiva came around, we didn't have any money either. You don't have credit. How are you going to buy a building without credit? So, at that point, I was actually in real estate development, so I'd learned some things. The idea of a contract for deed, approached this church that was closed for over a year and abandoned, and it was a terrible market, thank God, or not so, no, that's why, whatever, long story. Offered them the price that they were asking, but told them that we would need terms and that they would have to take the mortgage and be the bank, and we would pay them monthly, etc. They ended up taking the building back 5 years later, but it was a good 5 years. Can't complain. They actually sold it. They made some good money on that deal, seriously. Baptists. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, I had 2 successful Kickstarter campaigns. It was phenomenal. My sound bender was going forward. But my wife came to me and said, listen, this is great, you're doing wonderful, it really works, and you're already selling it online, and you have distribution online already, and you're making some money, etc. But I really want you to have a day job, because I'm tired of not knowing where the next dollar's coming from. Aren't we all? So I went to look for a job. I know, right? J-O-B, 3-letter word. I didn't give up on Soundbender. High five? Double high five? Oh. I went to look for a job. I walked into the Jewish Federation. I met somebody at the networking, trying to find, I have a master's in special ed, going back to that, using the skills that I have, not giving up on Soundbender, but, finding that other option out there, possibly some backup, And I turned my phone off, had my meeting, turned my phone back on as I'm walking out of the building, got a couple of voicemails, answered one of them. Hi, this is Dave from Shark Tank. You had sent in an application. We're interested in speaking to you about it. Please give me a call. It was pretty awesome. I thought someone was playing a trick on me, but turns out it was authentic. So, called him back, and 6 months later, I was filming Shark Tank. That was pretty awesome, too. Baruch Hashem, I've continued to grow the business. I'm in the growth period. Another word for growth period is in debt. There's that. Or broke. Why don't they call it the broke period? It's a very positive look on growing a business. You know, we're in the growth period. Yes. Baruch Hashem had $250,000 in sales last year. Cost me $249,000 to make that, but just joking. But in all seriousness. And I continue to do it. I encourage each and every one of you to take whatever passion you have, and it doesn't have to be in running a business, and it doesn't have to be in running an organization. It could be just being a father or a friend or brother or sister or mother. And advance it, take risks, do the impossible. So when people look at you, they're like, people don't do that. Well, guess what? If you do it, then people do. And I, again, thank Rabbi Wordy, an entrepreneur that we should all look up to and all support to the best of our ability. And you might not be able to do everything, but I encourage you to do something. And coming here tonight is one of those things, so thank you as well.